We all know Sonic Colors, albeit not everyone is the biggest fan of this game, but hey, it's one of my personal favorites. But something occurred to me. There's actually a second version of the Wii title that we are all too familiar with that I never really gave a fair shot to. So recently, going on Twitter and my YouTube community posts, I brought up the question of which seems to be the superior version of one of the Blue Blur's more colorful titles. And to my surprise, I had a lot of people coming to the defense of the Nintendo DS copy of the game. Now, this alone shocked me because I thought there would be more love for the Wii version. But with the quality of Colors Ultimate, I'm not surprised. So I spent the past few days with Colors on the DS to form my own opinion and see how I felt on the subject I had shed some light on. With that in mind, that's precisely the topic of today's video. Why it seems to be that so many people love this game, and basically after playing through the handheld title myself, have to say why I agree. And I truly feel it's important more than ever now that we take a look at that one time Sonic Colors came to the DS. Unlike the Wii copy of Colors, it's clear to see that this looks nothing like the version that most people think of, and there's a reason for that. Other than the fact it's literally on a smaller fucking console, the entire style of gameplay is drastically different. Not being shown to take elements from the Unleashed daytime stages, rather take a page out of the Sonic Rush series. Once again, this game is developed by Dimps, and it's still so crazy to think that they developed a game as amazing as this, and then they still deliver the shit that is Sonic 4. One main reason that Colors even has a DS port as well is due to the fact that Iizuka wanted to expand the audience gained from the Mario and Sonic franchise. And notably, the last thing to mention is that the gameplay of Colors DS has most fans referring to the game as the third installment in the Sonic Rush series. Now, Sonic Colors DS, being the younger brother of the famous HD port we all know, came out 5 days after the release of the game. Now, what I want to touch on next is the major differences compared to the Wii. The gameplay in Colors is very akin to the daytime levels from Sonic Unleashed, and there's a good reason for that. Those games were phenomenal in their own right. Now, the question is, how do you take an already great style of gameplay and miniaturize it into a handheld on-the-go playstyle? You copy something from 5 years prior. Now, honestly, this wasn't even a bad choice. I love Sonic Rush. Seriously, it's one of my favorite games from the Sonic series. So allowing me to replay a style of gameplay I already love in stages from another game I adore says enough as it is. Sonic feels almost ripped right out of Rush with a few minor changes to his moveset. This game actually lacks the trick system, which surprised me. Because it was pretty much the main gimmick of Rush, playing a central part in not only the stages themselves, but with the collection of the Chaos Emeralds as well. Instead, this game opts for two new moves with the Stomp and Slide, which are practically pulled straight out of the HD version of the game. Along with this, we see an obvious gimmick that comes with the Wisps. The major difference is pivotal when looking at what Wisp powers are available in both titles because they are drastically different. While in the Wii version we would see the pink, green, and blue Wisp, the D-Make version of Colors lacks these specific Wisp powers and adds the red Wisp, or the bursts. Thus, this brings the total Wisp count from 8 to 6. But how does it actually function within gameplay? Well, first of all, you actually unlock the Wisp through this little minigame by just tapping on the Wisp sprite. If you suck at this, sorry, you're not beating the game. I actually felt like most of the Wisps here are acquired in locations that fit far better in the levels themselves. For example, in Starlight Carnival, instead of unlocking the ability to be a literal fucking square, you instead unlock the Rocket Wisp, which in a zone which you have an open space, the Rocket Wisp just visually fits better in this area. Since you are forced to collect the Rocket Wisp in Starlight Carnival, the game can then better implement it into the level design itself. Furthermore, this also extends into the platforming of the game. When comparing it to the Wii version, it's less stop and go and more high-speed action. Now, to be fair, the DS version of Colors has its moments where it can also have these underlying issues, but it's far less frequent than in the HD version. Next up, since this is still Sonic Colors, the planets you visit are the same with Tropical Resort, Sweet Mountain, Starlight Carnival, Planet Wisp, Aquarium Park, and Asteroid Coaster. Now, there are also visual differences with the zones, like Planet Wisp being a lot more industrial looking and Asteroid Coaster never really treading out into space unlike the Wii version. Along with these minor changes, there are also really big ones like entire features being completely missing. Due to the cartridge size, things like Egg Shuttle and Game Land are completely gone. Instead, we have Eggman's Sonic Simulator, which is nothing like the HD version. Instead of controlling an Android Sonic and bonus levels, this new look for Sonic Simulator only features side modes like Time Attack, Versus Mode, and a new addition with the Special Stages. To access those, you have to beat a stage with 50 or more rings. Once again, we see the return of the half-pipe style to collect these gemstones. Sonic controls the same way as he did for the Rush special stages via the stylus. Unlike those prior titles, you will be collecting colored orbs instead of rings. There are 3 checkpoints where you go in the order of red, blue, and then finishing the stage with yellow orbs. Once you've gone through all the checkpoints, you collect the Chaos Emerald for that planet. Now the 7th special stage is kind of weird to access. You need to beat the game first, go into the single player versus mode, and beat the first level with 50 rings or more. This will grant access to the 7th special stage. These stages were not only massively fun, but they're a welcome addition as they're the reason that we have another Supersonic boss fight. Unlike the HD version, Supersonic actually plays an integral part of the plot and isn't just some side gimmick for grabbing some damn red rings. The actual fight itself is the Nega Mother Wisp, which as it sounds is the mom to not only Yacker, but every other Wisp that Sonic helps. This new boss, exclusive to the DS version, has you attacking 2 tentacles on each side and then transitions you into a 3D view where you boost up to the head of the Mother Wisp directly. Now, the normal bosses are pretty good as well. They all take place in 2.5D arenas, and just like the Wii version, certain bosses will be pretty similar to one another. Tropical Resort and Planet Wisp have an identical arena, for instance. As for the regular final boss, it's once again the Nega Wisp armor, but unlike running at it like the Wii version, you are now placed on a platform where you have to run around and avoid its attacks. Each time you get a successful hit in, you get one of the Wisps back. At the end of the boss, you kind of go Supersonic, except with the Wisps instead of the Chaos Emeralds, and you have to mash the Y button. And that's pretty much it for the gameplay. Now, the story is exactly the same. I mean, at the end of the day, this is still Sonic Colors. Although the main plot is generally the same, a lot of past characters from prior games show up, like Amy, Knuckles, Shadow, and even the Chaotix. This game definitely wins between the 2 different versions when it comes to world building. Furthermore, since there is a Supersonic ending, the story is slightly expanded where Yacker returns to Earth after beating the main game, where then Sonic goes super and defeats the true final boss with the Nega Mother Wisp. Another great thing for me personally was how the levels themselves were handled. Instead of dealing with 6 fucking acts, you now have 2 regular acts, 1 boss act, and 3 side missions. Not only does this drastically help the pacing of the game itself, but it also allows moments to see characters which weren't even present in Sonic Colors on the Wii. As for the side missions themselves, there are 4 types of modes for these levels. One where you have a mode where within a time limit you have to save a certain amount of wisps, whether this be through defeating enemies or just opening capsules holding the wisps themselves. A time challenge where you need to complete a regular stage within a certain amount of time and being able to complete it via getting time box capsules to add more time to complete the level. A ring collection challenge where, as it sounds, collecting however many rings necessary within the amount of time. And my least personal favorite are these flag missions where you must collect them throughout a stage in a certain order and again through the time limit. Now, generally these missions are relatively easy, but I had a select few which really kicked my ass, taking me multiple attempts. Now, although I would get annoyed at these certain missions, the game has an amazing difficulty curve, and as I was playing these missions in a call with a friend, the best way to describe the playstyle of the game is hard but fair, and you'll see this from the very start of the game all the way to the credits. Definitely the last thing to mention is just how amazingly this game does everything better. It doesn't even matter that this game is on a handheld console because that doesn't take away from how amazing this game continues to improve so much from the Wii version. When it comes to taking a look at everything we've covered, it's clear to see why Colors DS is so beloved. Having multiple aspects from the game not only be far greater than anything you can expect or see from the Wii version really exemplifies how great this D-made version of Colors truly is. This game is definitely one of the more fun titles from the Blue Blur that I've played in recent days. Just taking the clear to see amazing visuals, music, presentation, just downright to being one of the most fun Sonic games in the series. Sonic Colors DS exceeded my expectations, and when going back to the question I had mentioned at the start of the video, it's clear to see why so many people came to the defense of this version of the game. And as for myself, not only do I agree with them, but it's obvious that the better variation of Sonic Colors is in fact from that one time it came to the DS. Hey, and welcome to the end of the video. Socials to my Twitter, Twitch, and Discord will be in the description down below if that interests you. Huge thank you to all my channel members as always, and thank you guys so much for even giving me a dime. If you want to be a member or have your name be at the end of the videos, make sure you press that join button right next to the subscribe button, which you should also totally press because guess what? It's free, and if you regret it for whatever reason, you can always come back and unsubscribe later. Thank you all so much for watching, and have a great one.